Hey guys, Scott from Fry Props here, and today I'm going to show you how to create a puzzle where a player has to tap out a Morse code in order to unlock a magnetic lock. So here are the components we're working with today. We have our Morse code key, or telegraph key, which I've had the guys here kind of rust up to make it look more antiquated. The telegraph key is basically a simple contact. It has two metal points here, and when they touch, it closes a circuit between these two terminals that the wires are connected to. So it wires up to the escape keeper just like a simple switch. The escape keeper here is our controller. That's how we're going to be programming in the Morse code sequence that will solve the puzzle. We have our magnetic lock here, which will open when the puzzle is solved, and a speaker to play some sounds that I've preloaded onto the escape keeper. So the wiring for this prop is pretty simple. Again, this telegraph key just has two terminals, and we connect one wire to each terminal, and those wires go into the negative port of the power here, and then the other wire goes into our number one input, since we're going to be using input 1, and then we have a jumper from the common terminal of the input over to the positive of the power. So if you look at the escape keeper, you can see that when we press down on the plunger here, the input number 1 will light up. And that's telling us that this is working correctly. The first thing we're going to want to do is set up the escape keeper to be used in Morse code mode. So we're going to go ahead and unplug the power, and then we're going to hold down the number 3 button and plug the power back in. We'll keep holding number 3 until the LED starts blinking. Once it's blinking blue, we can release, and we're now in the mode setup. If you've watched any of our other videos, you'll be familiar with our quick start guide. This basically walks us through setting up the escape keeper and all the options that it's going to present us with, so this is an invaluable tool to have. So we'll see that the first option here is our puzzle mode, and we can just turn the dial on the escape keeper to select the different modes. We're going to want to use number 2, which is the Morse code mode. So we'll dial it to the second LED here, then tap number 3. The LED will blink twice here, and that's the number of puzzle inputs. We're just using 1. Remember, it's just that number 1 is lighting up when we depress our plunger here. So we can just go ahead and leave it on number 1, hit 3. The third option is the output mode. We're using a magnetic lock. We don't have an e-stop, and we want the lock to unlock when the puzzle is solved. So that's puzzle option number 1. So we just hit number 3 again. Option 4 is the auto reset timer. We're going to go ahead and actually set that to 5 seconds. That'll mean that once the puzzle is solved, it'll actually reset after 5 seconds, so that players will have to enter the code again to reopen the lock. So we can go ahead and set it to number 3 here for 5 seconds and hit number 3. The last option before we go to the special options is the game timer. We're going to leave that off. We don't want a time limit for this one. And now the LED will start blinking green. We have a few special options for the Morse code puzzle mode. The first option is fail on input timeout. So we could set it so that if they don't tap out their solution quickly enough, if the pause between taps is too long, it airs out. We're not going to use that for this one, so we're going to go ahead and leave it on no timeout, which is option number 1. Now our green LED will blink twice, and we're into the advanced options here. We have a number of different options, and we can select them by kind of moving the cursor along the LEDs here on the bottom and tapping record to turn them on and off. So you see here I've selected number 2, tapping record turns it on. If I move off, the LED stays lit. That's how we know number 2's been selected. And the same for turning it off. The only one we're going to want to turn on for this is the first option, which is fail at code length. We want the players to be able to figure out how many short and long presses are in the code overall, and have it fail if they've inputted a sequence that doesn't contain the correct sequence of short and long presses. So we're going to go ahead and hit record. That will turn that option on. The other options we're going to leave off for now. So we can go ahead and hit number 3, and we're ready to go. So the first thing we're going to need to do is actually program our Morse code sequence. To do that, we're going to hit the number 3 button so that the controller is not in the game mode. Right now it's just in its standby mode. We're going to hit record, and we're going to tap out our sequence. So let's hit record. We'll go short, long, short, short. And then we'll hit record again. And that saves that sequence as the solution to the puzzle. So the escape keeper now knows that the solution to this puzzle is 4 inputs, 1 short, 1 long, 2 shorts. So if I just tap out 4 shorts, it will actually fail. Let's hit play, so we enter the game mode. The magnetic lock will lock. So we can tap out a sequence of 4 short presses and it will actually fail, and the lock will stay locked.
Incorrect signal received. Try again.
So you can see the lock has stayed locked, and the escape keeper has played the sound in our miss folder because the incorrect sequence was input. If we input the correct sequence, short, long, short, short.
Success. Correct signal received.
The escape keeper will play our success sound and open the lock. Now if we wait 5 seconds, the auto reset timer will engage, the lock will lock again, and we can play the game again. So if we want to change the Morse code input that solves the puzzle, all we do is place the controller back into standby mode, hit the play button here, controller's in standby. Then we can go ahead and hit record, tap out our new solution, hit record again, and it'll save it. So let's hit record. We'll do long, short, long, long, short. Hit record again, and that'll save that program. Now we can hit play, the lock will lock, and we can enter our new code to solve the puzzle. So now we had a 4 input solution before, now it's 5, and the escape keeper knows that. So if I enter 5 incorrect presses, if I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Incorrect signal received.
Will fail.
Try again.
So the controller knows how many inputs it's looking for and knows whether or not they need to be long or short. So we can input our correct sequence and solve the puzzle. Long, short, long, long, short.
Success. Correct signal received.
Alright, so that is a quick look at how to create a Morse code prop for an escape room. If you have any questions, leave a comment on this video or send us an email at sales@frightprops.com. Thanks!